All right, we're going to be installing our flange and power valve assembly onto our freshly replated cylinder. First things first, we got to make sure that our surfaces are nice and clean and remove the remaining silicone from the mating surfaces. You just feel around with your fingers just to make sure that there's nothing left over. Sometimes you can scrape it with your fingernails. Take a look in the holes. Sometimes there's leftover silicone in there. If you can get it out, it's preferable. So you can use a pick tool. Alright, so you can take your power valve and we're going to install the O-rings that go around this groove here. So we like to use engine oil. Fits real nice in the groove. Other side. Pick tool just to get it over the lip. Take your time when you do something like this. You don't want to be breaking your O-rings and then having to buy some new ones waiting around. Okay. Once that's done, you want to take these sleeves. Again, we're going to be putting more oil. You can never put too much oil. Put that on. Make sure she twists nice and easy. All right. After that, we're going to be installing it into the engine, the cylinder engine. So put that in. Make sure the flap is functioning correctly. Next, you want to get your O-rings. These are the water jacket O-rings. They're going to be sitting in here. They are the OEM O-rings. You can never really go wrong when you go OEM. So we just place them in their spot. Just like that. Okay, we're going to put some silicone on the flange surface here. So we're going to run a bead of silicone all the way around and make sure we don't get it in the holes, but on all of the flat surface here. I'm going to use some red high temp RTV, but you can probably use that clear stuff will probably look better, but I don't really care too much about looks. So I put it on my finger. And then you don't really want to put too much. Take your time while you're doing this. This red stuff definitely won't look as good as the clear silicone. I'm not an aesthetics guy. I know some of you are. So if that's an issue, definitely go with the clear stuff. Alright. Once that's done, just gonna make sure that I don't have any silicone inside of the orifices. Get that out. Wipe my finger. Alright, now it's time to install it onto the cylinder. Good. Now we installed the bolts. So you have your spring brackets. The spring brackets go on while looking at the cylinder. Top right, and bottom left. We like to tighten these up by hand because they're just 6mm bolts, and you don't want to over tighten these. And now you want to clean up all the excess silicone that comes out of the surfaces. Another thing too, while you're assembling the power valve, always make sure and double check to see if your power valve flap is functioning correctly and not binding anywhere. This is how it should look like. Looks pretty damn good. Okay, well, we're gonna start assembling the power valve mechanism. So we're gonna start on the right hand side, the power valve. So right hand side would be when you're sitting on the bike. So we're gonna take this cylinder and we're gonna put the O-ring. So we bought some OEM O-rings that go inside the groove. There you go. Now we're gonna slide it into a hole here. I'm gonna put the teeth back, just like that. Oh yeah, and by the way, when we took the power valve assembly out, we wrote down RH for right hand side, left hand side, and we separated the power valve assembly components from right to left so we don't get all mixed up. So that's a small tech tip for you guys. Now we're going to install this retaining plate into its place. Now we're going to get the two little hex bolts, or screws I should say. And put some medium strength Loctite, or a thread locker, and then we're going to screw the retaining plate into place. I like to lightly screw things at first and then we tighten them up afterwards. Alright, just like that. Okay, the next step will be to install this piece here. So, a good trick to do is reach inside, lift the power valve flap wide open. Now you're going to take this piece here, the cylinder with the teeth, and you're going to look inside. I don't know if you can see this on the camera, but you're going to turn it until you see the passage open inside the cylinder. Oh, I went too far. So once that passage is open and the flap is up, this should slide and we should be able to install it pretty easy. There you go. Just like that. Okay, next thing that goes on is this collar, and then this plate with the little ball knob on it. After that is the spring. Now you want this long piece of the spring to go on top of this knob, on top of the knob of the plate, and then this other collar that sits on top of the spring, and then the bolt. I'm going to put a little bit of blue thread locker. I'm going to screw it down, but not too far, because what we're going to do is take the shorter spring here and bring it underneath this piece here. So as it go up and over, we're going to use some pliers. Just going to bring it down a bit. And then this longer piece has to come sit in a groove here. So we'll be placing that into its groove. Just like that. Now we could screw the bolt down a little further. Make sure that the spring is sitting at the right place and nothing's binding. Another way to make sure is always take a look if the flap is smooth. There's like a little bit of tension, but it's running really, really smooth, as you can see. So that's perfect. Now we're gonna torque this down a little bit more with the ratchet, because by hand with the screwdriver I can't get enough torque. Not too much, but just enough. That's how the right hand side, when you're sitting on the bike, power valve assembly looks like. Okay, now on to the left hand side, power valve assembly. Okay, I'm gonna start with the cylinder. Again, get our last O-ring. Make sure she's full of two-stroke oil, nice and happy. The cylinder itself. That's good. Now we're gonna get our plate. Again, you put the teeth towards the back. Get our two little screws. A little bit of thread locker. Don't over tight these. I mean, there's thread locker and they're not very big, so you don't want to strip out the bolt. Okay, now we're gonna bring the main flap open, the power valve, and then, like we did before, we're gonna get that cylinder. I don't know if you can see that port open in the inside of the flange here, just like that. I don't know if you can see it, it's right there anyway. See, I'll close it, we'll open it. Alright, once you have it placed like that, then you can take your other piece. We didn't take this bolt off on disassembly because this is your actual, this is the stopper for the power valve when it goes down. But we might have to adjust it, we'll take a look. But we didn't take it off, so we'll just reassemble it like it was. And this should fit in like on the other side. Nice and easy. Just like that. And now, the last bolt. Need a little bit more thread locker. Alright. Drop that in here. So we're not going to tighten it up completely. Just going to make sure that it bottoms out, but not tight. Now in the owner's manual, it says that the power valve, when the assembly is closed, should be at 49 millimeters from the top of the surface here, of your cylinder surface. So you got our calipers. We set it to 49 millimeters. Now what you do is take the bottom part of your caliper here, bring it inside the cylinder, put the top part of your caliper on top, and now you want to make sure that you can see the end of that caliper inside your cylinder. I don't know if you can see that, but if you can just see it a little bit, that would mean that the height is good. So I would say that that's perfect. If it wasn't perfect, if it was way off, then you can loosen this up and adjust the height of the stopper plate to make it where you want it. So now we just need to tighten up this. Just gonna make sure this is tight. Yep. When that's all done, it moves nice and freely. Well, your power valve parts and assembly is ready to go. Yes, sir.